Hi, it's Manny.
Melinda.
And this is Quirky Girl Narratives.
Hi.
And we're going to be doing a summary of American Gods.
Yes.
Yep, season 1. So let's get into episode 1.
Yes.
Okay, so in episode 1, we saw the Vikings brought Odin to America. We meet the main protagonist, Shadow Moon, and he's released from prison, finds out that his wife is dead, and he decides to go with this drifter, this man called Mr. Wednesday, to go on a road trip. Shadow meets Mr. Wednesday at the airport, and him and Mr. Wednesday head to the bar where they meet a leprechaun called Mad Sweeney. They get into a fight, and Shadow Moon accidentally receives one of Mad Sweeney's lucky coins. The next scene we see is Biliquis, and she's the goddess of love, one of the old gods. And we see that she basically absorbs energy from sleeping with the people who worship her. And then we see Shadow Moon heads to his wife's funeral. And at the funeral, he meets their neighbor Audrey, who's also his wife's best friend. And Audrey tells him that Laura Moon had been sleeping with his best friend, Billy, while Shadow Moon was in jail for the past 3 years. So after Shadow Moon gets over that whole situation, he drops the coin that he received from Mad Sweeney into Laura's grave, and we're assuming, he just wants to get rid of it. Shadow Moon heads off, and he's stopped by a limo in which he meets another new god called Technical Boy, and Technical Boy starts asking him questions about Mr. Wednesday and wants to find out what the old gods are doing. And Shadow Moon has no idea. He doesn't even know that they're gods. So Technical Boy decides to lynch Shadow, and then he's saved by a mysterious figure who we don't see. So then let's get into the questions side of this. So yes. The first question we have is, what does a buffalo symbolize, and why does it say believe? And it sounds like it's the same voice as Mr. Wednesday. So what do you think about the buffalo?
Well, in Native American history, we researched it, and it basically means like manifestation. So like something is coming. It's like a transformation. So it could mean that Shadow is about to learn more about what's going on with this fight between the gods. And yeah, we get to see what Shadow's real role is.
Exactly. Second question is, what does the bone archer symbolize that we see in Shadow's dream, and the tree that scratches Shadow? What do you think that's all about?
So we were talking about it earlier, and we know that so it can just symbolize like it's like a bone orchard. So it's basically like death. Yeah, so it's basically after a war or after an event, there is like just death around. So
mass killing, yeah. Exactly. And it scratches Shadow, so I feel like he's in danger because he keeps having dreams where it's like he's in danger. So the third question is, why is Shadow so easygoing, and why doesn't he question Mr. Wednesday? Why is he just going along on this journey to fight gather the old gods and fight the new gods? Why is he not questioning more? Me personally, I think that Shadow's still in shock over Laura's death. Like, he hasn't fully come to grips with it. And since he has nothing to live for, he finds out his best friend has died and has slept with his wife. He literally has nothing to live for. So he's like, why not just go risk my life and be a bodyguard for Mr. Wednesday and drive him around? I might as well. I have nothing to live for. What do you think?
No, I feel like it's the same way. He has nothing else. So it's kind of like his wife's died, his best friend betrayed him. He doesn't really have a home anymore because he never really belonged in that place that he was living with Laura. She was raised there. It wasn't him. So he doesn't have anything else. So he has to kind of go along with Wednesday. And I also think that Wednesday is very like charismatic and pulling.
For sure.
So there's like an energy about Wednesday that sort of matches Shadow's, or maybe who Shadow used to be. And so Shadow sort of pulled on. So he's sort of like, I don't want to say a victim, but he's
enticed.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. And Mad Sweeney, the leprechaun, even kind of warned Shadow, like, don't trust him. But Shadow just was like, I don't know you either, so
I'm not gonna trust you too.
Not gonna trust you either. And then what was the next question? Okay, so the role of Loki's Liesmith. What do you think the importance of that guy in jail that Shadow meets, and he tells him the advice like, don't piss off the people in the airports who work in the airports. If you really think about him, you'll get it. Like, just think about the advice he gave him and how helpful it was, but also just like how
think of
his
like
expressions and stuff. Think of
when he came in like when we were introduced to him, because he plays a very short, like he's
Role.
it's a very short role. He's on it for a little bit, but just think of where you meet him, like where Shadow's at when you meet this man, and when does his voice keep popping up? Like there's certain moments where his voice comes up, and just think of like his role in Shadow's life and like your life and what role like a character like that would play in your life, and you'll probably get him. Plus, if you're someone who likes to read a lot and watch a lot of movies and analyze things, if you think about it for just like 5 minutes, you'll understand and know who he is.
Exactly. So the next question is, what was the role of the coin that Shadow accidentally got from Mad Sweeney during that whole scuffle?
Well, we were saying like obviously it's like luck, and like because it's like gold, it could be seen as like fortune and something that's coming, because money is not valuable unless it's spent or like you're thinking about what you're going to do with it. So it's basically once he gets it, it's only a matter of time before he uses it. So you're just waiting to see what he's going to use it for. And when he throws it into Laura's grave, it's kind of foreboding of what's about to come. Obviously, we don't know what it is, but he did say something about a storm coming, and Laura did like hurt him a lot. So
Exactly.
just think along those lines.
I agree. The coin is like represents luck, and I think because it's a leprechaun's coin, it's gonna have some kind of magical abilities, and he throws it into Laura's grave. So why did Laura cheat on Shadow with Robbie? I guess while Shadow was spent the 3 years in jail.
Yeah.
I think that Laura might have been lonely. They might have had a strained. We don't really know, but they might have had a strained relationship on her part before he left, just the stress of him leaving. Like Shadow seemed like he was madly in love with her, and like from the phone call she seemed like she was into him too, but we don't really know. It could have been one-sided and like just from Shadow's perspective. So maybe she just got sick and tired of it, and it's selfish, but some people cannot wait 3 years even if they're married.
I feel like her, like we were talking about it earlier, and we said that basically Laura kind of represents like the average human being, and how your relationship with God, or your whatever God you believe in, or your belief, and how sometimes because we're human we kind of fall short, but sometimes we use that as an excuse to fall short and say like it's okay because we're only human. So I feel like Laura's response to Shadow going in jail and cheating on him with not just anyone but like his best friend and kind of like his only friend just shows the relationship that we have with our religion or our faith or our God, and how sometimes we always fall short.
What did you think of Audrey's proposition for Shadow, like sleeping with Shadow on her husband's grave? Did you agree with it or disagree?
I don't believe two wrongs make a right, so I definitely disagree, but I definitely understand. Like for almost 3 years, like she lasted like, I think it was like 18 months. She was like 18 months or something, and then after they started sleeping together, and then
Laura
they slept
Robbie,
and they literally slept together all the way till like when he was just about to come home. So, and then she just wanted to call it quits. So
Audrey feels bad.
Yeah, I definitely feel bad because she didn't even know, like Shadow was gone, but like she was there and he was cheating on her.
And it was her best friend.
Yeah,
who slept
and
with
her husband, you know. Yeah, so she's like, let's just do it. But yeah, obviously I disagree.
Yeah, I think that I understand where she's coming from, but I think that it wouldn't be a good solution long term. So yeah, it just wouldn't be a good idea. Okay, and the next question is, why did Technical Boy have his goons beat up Shadow when he asked Shadow about Mr. Wednesday's plan, and Shadow couldn't give a concise answer? Like he didn't know. So why did he get beaten up?
First of all, Technical Boy is like a boy. So yeah, and
the
then
new god.
Exactly. And he's a child. So like why do children do what they do? We don't know. So I feel like it's that, and also because like he hates Mr. Wednesday for some reason that obviously will be revealed later on, hopefully by us to you guys, that, you know, and we can't tell you what the reason is, but he hates Wednesday enough, so it's like he realizes that Wednesday obviously likes this Shadow person, he cares for him, and he doesn't know what the relationship that Wednesday and Shadow have, but he knows that Wednesday cares enough about him, so he's like, well, if you care about him, let me show you what I can do to what you care about.
Yeah,
so
he's threatening him.
Yeah.
And then, Chris, what did you think about her and, like, the scenes with her? And, you know, she's, like, what did you think about her?
Well, we did research on her and watched a documentary on her a little bit. And so in a lot of, like, the three main religions, like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, Bellicus is basically based off of the Queen of Sheba, and talks just a little bit of information about her and her journey to go and see King Solomon. And in some religions, they basically sleep together, but she's not only known for her beauty, and like her desire doesn't just come from her sexuality and her physical appearance. It comes from what she brings to Solomon, which is jewelry and like gold and like coins, and she has like camels and camels filled with like all this stuff that are very valuable. So, and she's very, very
I
wise.
think she's a strong character, and she's very interesting how she like owns her sexuality. Because in the book she's depicted as a prostitute, but in the show she's just basically using Tinder to get worshippers.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting how, like, as an old god, we're assuming she's an old god, how she's able to like use techniques of technology to get worshippers when a lot of these old gods are struggling. She doesn't seem to be struggling too much.
And she's like basic, like she's not journeying to get like all this stuff like Shadow, like Mr. Wednesday is. She's like literally using what she has where she is. She's like, it's sort of like she's accepted the state, whereas Wednesday's like, no, we gotta keep fighting. It's like she's accepted what's happened, and she's trying to make the best of what she has.
Okay, and finally the symbolism in the show. So what did you think of the weather, the dreams that Shadow was having, memories, the use of memory, animals, and finally colors? What did you think about that in the show?
Honestly, it reminds me, like we were saying, of Zack Snyder, the director. Sure. Like he did like Superman, and he did 300. So like just like the colors and stuff like that. It reminds me of like Watchmen. Like it's very like comic booky.
Graphic novel with the bright colors.
Exactly. The colors like pop at you, but it's like certain colors, like the reds and like the blues, and they're dark shades. They're not bright. They're very, very dark. And a lot of the scenes like are obviously during the night, but it's very like, it's very catchy. And a lot of the characters are like, I want to say like a lot of the characters are surrounded by one emotion sort of. So for Wednesday it's sort of like mystery and like enticement.
Exactly.
Yeah, where Shadow's just like a question mark. Like he's lost, like so we don't know.
And he's in the shadow, and like we don't know much about him. Yeah.
And the weather is just like, I mean, it's amazing, from going from like a storm to like calmness, like in 2 seconds. Like it's just amazing.
And I like the use of animals with the buffalo, and just I'm sure we'll see more animals as well. Yep. So thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for
episode
2.
Bye guys.